This recipe is going to be a great way to get all of the roast chickeny flavor that you love in about an hour of cooking time. The key is going to be breaking this chicken down in half so it cooks in about half the time. You're going to get all of those delicious roasty flavors without all the work. At the same time, I'm going to show you how I get super smooth, creamy mashed potatoes and then a crazy garlicky lemon pan sauce to go with it all. I can almost guarantee this is going to be your new roast chicken dinner. The key to getting this going and really cooked in time is gonna be to break the chicken down in half. Whenever you're doing a chicken breakdown, a couple of things that are really nice to have around. Bowl for kind of your random trashy bits. This is coming in a bag. The bag's gonna go in the trash. This other bowl is gonna be for stock stuff if you're a stock person. And then this tray is gonna be to keep the chicken on. Scissors as well make this process really easy. The start of it, to break a chicken in half, you're gonna come, here's the backbone, confident, chopping to the side of the backbone. Boom. Backbone out of there. At this point, if you were to press down, you'd spatchcock it. You could use a knife for this. Ooh, I should have taken out the wishbone. That's okay. Okay. Boom. Wishbone gone. There's this whole sort of rib section plate I want to get through. There's cartilage here. There are these ribs, just, you know, the tip of a knife or your scissors. Gravity is going to work alongside you as well. Trying not to sacrifice too much of the breast meat because that's all pretty good. You know, you get like a chicken tender and it's got that long stringy piece in the middle. That's what this thing is. Just connects it and holds it sort of to the breastplate. Okay, this whole section here is all bone, cartilage, and it's connected. Only thing here is finding that joint. Once you find it, it's much easier to cut through than like cutting through bone. Once you've got that, just do a little hand check. Feel for anything unpleasant, any bones, any cartilage, anything that's not gonna be as good to eat. Once you get really good at it, it's very easy. You're literally just cutting it down the backbone, taking out anything you don't wanna eat, removing the bones from the breast, cutting off wingtips, super, super straightforward. All of that can go in like a plastic bag for stock. Then these two halves are done. With the chicken broken down like this, I like to season it heavily with salt, and then I also add sugar, MSG, and pepper to the meat side, just to give it a little bit of extra flavor, and I just let that sit while I prep everything else. Here I get my oven on 400 convection and put a cast iron pan on the stove over like medium-low, just to sit and get hot while I cook. Back at my board, I've got 3 large washed russets. If you don't like peeling vegetables, try a Y peeler instead of like one of the straight peelers. It's so much better. You're just gonna have a much better time with it than using one of those straight peelers. I think those things just suck for the most part. This technique for mashed potatoes has been around for a long time. I didn't invent this by any means. So to my right, I've got a pot of water, but it's not like huge and crazy full. It's gonna probably be just enough so that the potato pieces are submerged. You don't want them breaking apart, but you do want them cooked far enough so that you can push them eventually through a sieve, which that is going to get rid of any lumps and give you something crazy, crazy smooth like you maybe never had before. It's a little bit more work. Bing bong, oven's ready. But the results are so good, I do it almost every time I make mashed potatoes now. It's super, super worth it. So for these, I'm not gonna do like a perfect dice or anything. I'm literally just going to cut them into thin quarter circles or whatever. At this point, my pan, I can sort of feel it behind me. It's getting nice and warm. Oven's hot. Chicken is seasoned and ready to go. If I didn't spend some time on TikTok just wasting time, this probably would have taken me like 10, 15 minutes in total. Get these into the water quickly so they don't brown. I don't know why I didn't even think to do that. This definitely makes enough roasty toasty chicken for like 4 people. Here's the potatoes. They're covered in just enough. We'll get those over a simmer, get these cooking. Salt, big old thing of salt, check it. Quite a bit. Get the potatoes seasoned from the inside. That way you don't have to catch up as much at the end. When they're mashed, when you have to do that, you add so much salt and then they taste really salty. If you do it now, the salt kind of permeates the whole potato and you're good. For this pan sauce, not a crazy amount of ingredients are going into it. I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Lots of parsley, lots of garlic. I like about 8 cloves of garlic, which is quite a few. I'm gonna leave them in the paper because they're gonna cook with the chicken, and then we can just pop them out of the paper later. But if they're gonna roast in the oven at 400 convection, that's, you know, pretty hot. They're gonna overcook if they're not in the paper. The paper kind of protects them, which is cool. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, great. Chicken stock, just some nice chicken stock, and then gelatin is gonna help give the sauce some body. Seasoning wise, lots of lemon zest. My camera died for a second, but all I did was zest a lemon, cut it in half, and this is me chopping just a huge amount of parsley. That's gonna go into the gravy to taste. If we want to get this chicken really nice and brown, we need to weigh it down. And to do that, I wrap a plate in foil, and then I'm going to use something heavy, in my case, a molcajete, to weigh down the chicken so all of the skin has nice, even contact with the pan. I'll turn the pan up a little bit to medium, add in enough oil to coat the bottom, and then I'm going to gently lay in those chicken halves. In my cast iron, I can fit both in one pan, which is great. For around like 7 or 8 minutes, we're not going to be really doing anything to this. Simply keep the weight on it and keep listening. During this time, I like to just make sure that the potatoes are cooking really nicely, give them a stir, and check on them every now and then so they don't overcook. This level that you see here of like deep browning, nice and crispy is what I like to aim for. It's gonna taste so good later. Flip it over, ditch the weight, add in those garlic cloves from earlier that we didn't peel, and then this pan can go into the oven to roast for 20 minutes. At that point, I will temp it, but every time I've made this, 20 minutes is enough time to cook the white meat and finish the dark meat. If you timed it similarly to how I did, your potatoes should be almost done at this point, which is great. You can drain them, and I like to let them sit over the hot pan for a minute or two for all of that water to steam off. A drier potato, once it's been strained, is going to basically just let you get more cream and butter into them, which is always a good thing. I've got these potatoes still slightly warm in a sieve over my pan, and I'm just going to use a stiff spoon to push all of those potatoes through. It takes a lot of work, takes some arm muscle. I think the results are totally worth it. Man, I love potatoes, you know what I'm saying? It gets you really velvety potatoes, and it removes any lumps that may not have fully cooked in that cook time. Once they're all pressed through the sieve, I'll add butter and half to a glass container, and I'll just heat that up until it's nice and warm in the microwave. Maybe like a minute and 30 seconds is good. These sieved potatoes are like perfectly prepped to absorb as much dairy as possible, and by separating the dairy in the potatoes, we really can just add as much to taste. So if you want like a nice, super smooth, almost like liquidy fall off the spoon mash, you could add more. If you want really stiff mashed potatoes, you could add less. With this style of potatoes though, it's really hard to get gummy mashed potatoes, which I think a lot of people grew up with and a lot of people hated. So that's part of the reason why I love this recipe so much. Once you've got it super smooth in the place where you like it, season it with salt, let it sit on a warm stove, and those will be good to go when our chicken is done. Speaking of chicken, these halves should be cooked. It's right about the 20-minute mark. I'll go ahead and just temp the thighs and breasts. But you can see when I pull out the thermometer, the juices are running clear from the dark meat, which is great. It means the dark meat's totally cooked, and because there's no breast plate to kind of block the heat in the breasts, those are gonna be cooked as well. So for sure done. Let this rest, take it out of the pan, because we need that pan to make our gravy. Those garlic cloves that we threw in should be well cooked, but the skins kind of protect them from burning, so that's really nice. Just pop them out and smush them until it's like a garlicky paste. In that same roasting pan, I'll turn the flame up to boil off any of the liquid left in the pan. Don't worry, all of the flavor is in these brown bits that are already here. We need the fat that's left to form our roux, so add in about a tablespoon of flour. I really like to cook the flour here past a blonde roux, so it gets a little bit deeper flavor. Over medium heat, this isn't gonna take too long. Just keep an eye on the chicken bits. There was some sugar on that chicken, so just make sure nothing burns. Once it's a nice light brown, add in the alcohol of your choosing if you're using it, and stir it to combine. If you're adding a liquor like brandy or bourbon, anything that's really high proof, add it with the flame off so you don't accidentally cause a flambe like right away. Mix that into the roux until it's nice and smooth, and then add in a whole cup of chicken stock. Stir that and keep mixing until the roux starts to fully incorporate into the stock. Along with that chicken stock, I like to add a big sprinkle of unflavored gelatin just to give it a little bit more delicious, thick, tacky mouthfeel. It's really good, not a requirement, but it's just what I like to do with my gravies. I like to add in all of the roasted garlic. I just chop it into a paste and add it into the pan as well. 8 cloves sounds like a lot, but the roasting process takes away a lot of that sharp edge, so it tastes nice and smooth and rich and delicious. Once this is up to simmer, I like to just check it for seasoning before I add any acid. So I'm gonna taste it and see what it needs. I'll add a big pinch of lemon zest, and then like the juice of about half of a lemon. With the chicken resting, it's gonna release some juices, and it would just be a shame to waste those, so add those into the gravy. I like to add in a big handful of that chopped parsley, and then just taste it one last time for seasoning, adjust the salt and pepper as needed. To serve this, lay down a big scoop of mash, and then one of the roasted chicken halves. If you were making this for 4 people, you could dole out white meat and dark meat as you like. I think the gravy being nice and garlicky and acidic is really what makes this dish so good and so craveable. It's like the ideal roast chicken dinner with gravy and mashed potatoes, just elevated much, much more. If I was serving food in a restaurant and I had roast chicken on the menu, this is exactly how I'd serve it. The key things to get right are breaking down your chicken, pre-seasoning it so it stays juicy, getting it nice and browned under a weight, and then just roasting it to perfection. Everything else, mashed potatoes, sides, gravy, it's really all up to you. I just think those are the things to really take away from this video. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like. If you want to see more stuff like this, go ahead and subscribe. There's a group of people supporting me directly on Patreon through patreon.com/CameronMarty. They get some cool benefits like early access to videos, and there's this kitchen printer I've got set up that allows them to print tickets directly and make requests. It's pretty fun, it's pretty cool, it's a new thing that I'm launching this year. So check it out and consider becoming a patron. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.